Hey there, Wastelanders. Welcome to another video. I just thought I'd kind of walk you through a build that I've been working on over the weekend. And, this time I was thinking there's a lot of movies that have been done in the past where, Canada was always wiped out, or in the most in most cases, the USA was like the only continent, kind of shown in map rooms and any kind of military operation. Um, and I thought it was I always think it's kind of funny how they kind of mention, the way they mention Canada in Hollywood movies. So I'm going to start building my own Canadian themed Gaslands team. And, I thought I'd start off with, a Rodger Dodger. I know it's kind of funny, but, I liked this casting, right from the original Red Lines version. So I wanted to make a bazooka car out of a performance car. So I did have a bazooka in my Imperial Guard bits box. So basically, I got some crazy glue and I started to secure it to the side of the car itself. So the next thing I did was I added these rails to the side to both sides of the car. They're basically from like plastic sprues. I wanted to try to see what it would be like to start using them in some of the cars. So since I have so much of it, I didn't really want to waste it. So I thought I'd give it a try. Um, and then I got this idea where I wanted to make the vehicle higher and add some off-road tires to it as well at the same time. So, funny enough, this one of these that number three car in the background there, basically uh, the uh, the mounting holes seem to line up, and I thought I could get it to fit like pretty much like right from the get-go, but I had to do some modifications. So, I glued the axles in place first, um, and then I took the chassis, or sorry, the interior piece, and primered it, and cut off the exhaust on the sides, and hot glued it to the chassis of the number three car. So I kind of edited a few steps in the video here just to kind of speed things up a bit, but that's essentially what I had done. And then I got to this point where I can, start trying to figure out what bits and pieces I was going to add to the car. Some of the bits, I don't know, I might not end up adding it at the end, but I'm not too sure just yet. But I knew I wanted to have at least, start building some of like the armor on the car itself. And so I took some card stock and added basically, you know, some armor for the front hood. Okay, so once I get the armor, firmly attached to the hood of the car, next thing that I wanted to do was start to work on, the gaps in the chassis between the chassis and the like the upper level and bottom level. So I clipped off the front of the car with a Dremel tool and kind of enlarged the hole a little bit with a nail file. But yeah, I was able to kind of tweak it a little bit here, and I see how I cut it a little bit more so that it could fit right in the gap and look like it was always meant to be there. So just take a little bit of cleanup with a file and just enlarge the hole a little bit more. But yeah, I got it in there nicely, and it just glued in place with some crazy glue, and yeah, it looked like it was kind of meant to be. I also cut the fenders a little bit as well on the sides because of the wheels. I wanted to make sure there was enough clearance for that. And then now I'm just going to basically work on cutting the rear the same way I did the front. So So now this is where I actually glued the front in place, and then the back as well, just to make sure that it was had a lot of glue in there, just to kind of really make sure it wasn't going to go anywhere. So yeah, I wanted to add a little bit more details, and just adding some additional armor pieces. Got some more cardstock cut, and proceeded to add just a simple square to the roof of the car. And I've got some of these, I guess, water transfer tattoos I picked up from the dollar store in one of my other videos, and gonna try to see how it's gonna look on a car once I get to the point where I'm ready to do it. For the front of the car, I thought, I wanted to add some spikes or some blades or something like so. I had all these like Warhammer knives basically in my bits box. So cut the handles off of those, and proceeded to just put some crazy glue into the front grille of the Challenger. Took a few tries to get it to sit properly. I didn't like a certain way. Like the first time I mounted it, as you can see, I didn't really quite like it. So changed the position, and this is what I came up with. Okay, so next is just kind of adding some details to the front windscreen. Basically, I had traced this windscreen armor early on, so now I was gonna try to see what it would look like in place. So I glued in the original plastic windshield, and got some. Ended up just getting some crazy glue, and gluing the armor window right on to the front of the car. Okay, here I'm just going to reattach the original exhaust that I had cut off previously. The fact that I was doing like a chassis swap, I wasn't sure if it was actually going to work, but yeah, it worked out pretty well. Kind of left a bit of a mounting point there for me, and yeah, I just used the crazy glue again, and was able to reattach the side exhaust. It looked really really good once I got there. So then I just added some white cardstock in the back area under the rear axle, just to kind of cover up a gap. And yeah, this is how it looks so far. So I decided to add a little bit more detail in terms of like like some pits and some holes. So I had just went on my garage, and one of my family members decided they thought it was funny to turn the light on and off on me, but that's fine. Um, I decided to, yeah, just add more like pits and scratches and bullet holes, and included the armor that I added. I just used the Dremel to kind of rough things up a little bit in various areas on the car. So lastly, I just got some gray primer, and painted it all over, just a couple of coats like on the top and the sides and the bottom. And this is how she's looking right now. What I plan to do in the start of the next video is I'm going to mask it off and paint the top part white, and mainly toward the back, and continue on with the build in part 2. So hopefully you stay tuned, and please like and subscribe if you're interested in seeing more. Thank you.